So, yeah, this is probably a shock to see this little series come back, but honestly, these videos about the crossovers between reality TV and wrestling were some of my favorite videos to make, and as much as I love making total drama videos, I do enjoy making videos about other things. So, we're continuing with this little series because, trust me, there are so many different things I can talk about in this little series. But for this particular edition, the focus is going to be solely on a popular TV show called Jersey Shore. You've maybe heard of it before, maybe even watched an episode or two. At least for me, my personal experience with Jersey Shore is very limited. I've seen the first two seasons and a couple episodes of season 3, but that's pretty much it. I know they still do seasons of it, but it's like a different spin-off or whatever. But the point is, I haven't watched that much of the show, but I know a decent amount to know who all of the main cast members are and whether or not I like or dislike them. That's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you've got Snooki, Pauly D, Mike the Situation, Sammy, JWoww, Angelina, Vinny, Ronnie, and Dina. You've definitely heard of at least one or a couple of these names before, but I'll be honest, I'm not really here to give these long detailed descriptions on who each cast member is, only because there's so much to Jersey Shore, and as said before, I've only seen a little bit of it, and let's be honest, most people are already familiar with the popular people from Jersey Shore and what they've done either on the show or off the show, but I doubt many people know what they've actually done in the world of wrestling. For this video, I'm only talking about a select few of them, those being Snooki, Angelina, Ronnie, JWoww, and JWoww's current husband, Zach Clayton. I'm not really sure how much he's ever appeared on the show, but nonetheless, he's in the video along with them. So yeah, let's officially get into all of the cool details about the connection between Jersey Shore and the world of professional wrestling. So let's start big with Snooki. She's the only person in this video to have actually been in WWE. Now, what was she doing in WWE? Well, during 2009 and the early 2010s, WWE often had guest stars appear on their flagship show, Monday Night Raw. On the March 14, 2011 episode of Raw, Snooki made her WWE debut. She was hanging out with one of the women's goats of WWE, Trish Stratus, who will eventually show up in this series, and also with John Morrison, who has been in this series previously. Very quickly into Snooki's debut, she got off on the bad foot with power couple Vickie Guerrero and Dolph Ziggler. Snooki even gave Vickie a really good slap right here. Then there's a whole in-ring promo in front of the entire live audience featuring Snooki, Trish Stratus, and Vickie Guerrero. Vickie was a heat magnet at this time, and so she complained like a Karen about Snooki slapping her and apparently stealing her spot on the cover of Rolling Stone. And then, here's this. I know, that's pretty crazy. Anyways, Trish and Vickie have a match, and eventually John Morrison, Dolph Ziggler, Layla, and Michelle McCool, also known as LayCool, get involved in the match, and Vickie somehow wins. After this is when Snooki gets physical, and there's a whole fight involving all of the women in this angle. This is when Vickie makes the challenge for a mixed 6-man tag team match for WrestleMania. Dolph Ziggler and LayCool versus John Morrison, Trish Stratus, and Snooki. 3 reality TV titans teaming up, and honestly, this kind of match doesn't even feel real. Like, how did they even come to the idea of this being a match? Either way, this was a rare instance where a guest star was immediately thrust into a storyline and a match, but not to mention that this match would be taking place at WWE's biggest event of the year, WrestleMania. But that's kinda it. There's like one other video of Trish Stratus and Snooki together at the bar where they actually end up fighting LayCool, but beyond that, for the next couple of weeks until WrestleMania, Snooki isn't really there. This was basically treated like a throwaway match from the beginning, but now it's time for the actual event and for the match to actually happen. So at WrestleMania 27, the match finally happens, and it's a grand total of 3 minutes and 16 seconds. They basically had no time to do anything substantial, and it was the match before the main event, which can be used as a bathroom break so you can get ready for the main event type of thing. This match might have also been cut for time due to other matches going longer than scheduled for, but I don't really know the specifics regarding all of that. Anyways, for the actual match itself, Snooki was booed a lot during her entrance and when she was tagged into the match. And why was she booed? I'm gonna assume it's because the people from Jersey Shore were hated, as this was the time of its peak. And I'm sure a lot of people just in general hated seeing a celebrity, especially one like Snooki and not someone stereotypically cool being at WrestleMania. But it's cool, because once she did this insane move, the crowd stopped booing her and she ended up getting the win for her team. It was short, sweet, and Snooki looked great in about 10 seconds. It's a shame the match had so little time to develop any story or heat or anything like that, but Snuka came out of it looking pretty good. There was also apparently some drama with John Morrison and Trish Stratus because of John's spouse at the time, Melina, not being in this match instead of Trish, but oh well. Bottom line, Snooki, you gotta do another wrestling match at some point. And now, we're done with WWE. Let's move on to the promotion that really loved reality TV stars that has been talked about in this series before, TNA. Thank you, Dixie Carter. So, Angelina, Ronnie, and JWoww have all appeared in TNA. We'll go one at a time, so let's start with JWoww. Now, if you've seen Jersey Shore before, you know that JWoww has some experience with fighting. I mean, this fight with Sammy is one of the most infamous scenes from the show, and I'll be honest, JWoww had won, but that's a different conversation. When you consider what wrestling is and how the personalities of the wrestlers are, JWoww seems like a perfect fit. So it's no surprise that reality TV lover and TNA official Dixie Carter got her into TNA, even if she didn't really do that much for the company. So what did she do in TNA? So I do have to give a little bit of context. In 2010 in TNA, there were two people doing a rip-off Jersey Shore gimmick literally called The Shore. They were Robbie E and Cookie, and I will be talking about Robbie E in a future video in this series for sure. But their whole gimmick was just being a ripoff of Jersey Shore, and as this was 2010, this was at the height of the show's popularity, so that does make sense to play off of that. I mean, just look at them. It's actually a pretty good ripoff of Pauly D, or The Situation I guess, and Snooki. They had only started doing this gimmick for like a week before JWoww showed up on TNA on the October 14th, 2010 episode. But I just want to say, Robbie E and Cookie did a really good job with this and got some insane heat from the crowd for this gimmick off rip. Anyways, they called the cast of Jersey Shore posers, and that prompted JWoww to show up the next week. She immediately got the beautiful people to aid her in finding and kicking Cookie's ass, which I'm sure was every teenage boy's dream back then, and she even had this insanely weird backstage segment featuring Eric Young. It's wild to see Eric Young do stuff like that and where he is today, still in TNA. Anyways, all of this led to a confrontation in the ring where Cookie called JWoww fake, slapped her, and then JWoww just absolutely ragdolled the crap out of her head for like a minute before just being celebrated. And that's it. The week after this, they aired some backstage comments from JWoww where she said she got the wrestling bug after being in the ring, but yeah, that never happened. This whole thing was pretty pointless and just an attempt to gain some publicity for TNA, which I guess it did, except it didn't really. Because apparently when this episode aired, this segment was the least watched part of the entire episode. Now for some reason TNA thought it'd be a really smart idea to place this segment on the show when it was directly competing with Jersey Shore at the same exact time on TV. But that's TNA for you. By this point, late 2010, most people had pretty much given up on TNA due to the incompetence of the people in charge. So yeah, JWoww never wrestled for TNA, but she probably got some decent money just for showing up, looking good, and being Cookie's ass for a quick minute. So there you go. But before we move on to some original Jersey Shore cast members that have actually wrestled matches, I wanted to stay on the topic of JWoww as her husband, Zach Clayton, has to be talked about as well. Now, as I said before, I don't watch or really know anything about the new Jersey Shore Family Vacation or anything new pertaining to Jersey Shore at all, so I have no idea what exactly Zach Clayton's involvement with the show is. I don't know if he's ever on the show that much or anything at all like that. I mean, I know he's definitely appeared at some point, but I don't know. Nonetheless, he is a reality TV participant. He's JWoww's husband. That's really all you need to know. And plus, his nickname is The Reality, which just sounds kind of stupid because it's not like he's some huge star, but it is what it is, I guess. So, Zach Clayton has been wrestling since 2014 on the Indies according to Cage Match, but for the past couple of years, he has been wrestling a little bit for AEW. He was usually just wrestling on AEW Dark, which was AEW's more developmental program exclusively on YouTube, and apart from once or twice, he was just used as a jobber. And if you don't know what that is, a jobber is someone that is there specifically to just lose most if not all the time, and that's what Zach Clayton was there for. However, on the August 12th, 2022 episode of AEW Rampage is when he first appeared on actual wrestling television, and it was to challenge Hook for his FTW championship. This was extremely weird because unless you watched Dark on YouTube, you'd have no idea who this random jabroni was, and even then, all he did on Dark was just lose. But he was able to cut a promo, and to be honest, he actually did a pretty good promo, and he made sure that everyone knew he was a reality TV star from New Jersey, but that was kinda it. Hook accepted the challenge from this jabroni, and we had a title match set for the following week. I remember the time watching this, I thought maybe AEW was going to invest in Zack Lane and actually try to take advantage of the reality TV aspect he had with him. So fast forward to the following week on the August 19th, 2022 episode of AEW Rampage, and well, Hook beat Zack Lane in 10 seconds. Yes, you heard me right. It was 10 seconds. Here's the entire 10 seconds of it actually.
Family vacations, this TV experience.
Oh, swinging and missing.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, look out here.
Wow. The Red Room. The Red Room.
Look at this.
The hooks are in. It's locked. That's it.
Like, the fact that this was even an advertised match that was built up the week prior is crazy because this could have just been a random unadvertised match for Hook to have on TV, but they let this guy cut a whole promo and then proceed to lose that quickly. It was safe to say that AEW was not investing in the reality, but he still wrestled on AEW for the next year and actually picked up a decent amount of wins, which seems really random considering he was never on TV again after this 10-second match. And then he made a couple of appearances for AEW's sister company, Ring of Honor, until his eventual departure from AEW in October of 2023. But don't worry, because he does still wrestle. Just recently, as of March this year, he has joined the long-running faction, the FBI, aka the Full-Blooded Italians, and they've been making appearances for TNA this year, which is really cool. And if you didn't know, the FBI has been a group in wrestling since 1996, so it's really cool that it's still around this day thanks to Little Guido, who's been with the group since then, and now Zack Lane is a part of the group and is active in another wrestling promotion that's on television. So yeah, whether or not he's a prominent reality TV star, he's married to JWoww and he's been able to wrestle for a couple prominent wrestling promotions in America, so I guess things have been working out pretty well for the reality. That nickname does still need some work though. And now, let's move on to some original Jersey Shore cast members that have actually wrestled. Those being Ronnie and Angelina. And even from the little bit of Jersey Shore I've seen, these two along with JWoww really fit in with the world of wrestling just based on their personalities alone. Ronnie and Angelina both wrestled for TNA in the year of 2011, but we'll start with Angelina since she wrestled for them earlier in the year. So, on the February 24th, 2011 episode of TNA, they recapped the incident involving JWoww and the members of the Shore, which makes sense. Of course you'd recap something that happened 4 months ago. But anyways, this led up to an interview where Robbie E and Cookie announced that Angelina from Jersey Shore would show up next week to call out JWoww. This is huge news! I mean, JWoww hasn't been in TNA for months, but here comes Angelina ready to call her out, so surely we see JWoww back. Well, she didn't. But Angelina did show up the following week with the Shore. It's just funny to me that TNA was trying to hype up a potential Jersey Shore match on their show when that ship had pretty much sailed by this point. So in the following week, Angelina showed up along with the Shore after Velvet Sky's match, and Velvet Sky is a part of the Beautiful People, the ones that align with JWoww against the Shore. Cookie and Angelina say some stuff on the mic, and Angelina's already so good at this, to be honest. Not the actual wrestling part, but just talking on the mic and getting heat. And she actually did call out JWoww for a one-on-one match for next week, which is just insane because that was never going to happen. But anyways, the women all saw each other, fight each other, and then the Beautiful People challenge Angelina, Cookie, and Sarita, another woman, to a 6-woman tag, or as Angelina says,
A good old 6-way!
So yeah, they did the match next week on March 10th, and well, the match didn't even get to 2 minutes long. Now, Angelina obviously didn't know how to wrestle, and the match was mainly just shenanigans involving everyone in the story. But yeah, they made sure not to have Angelina wrestle an actual match out there. I guess they learned their lesson from the Jenna Maraska match. But yeah, after some stuff happens involving Winter and Robbie E, Velvet Sky pins Angelina for the win. And that was that. Angelina did nothing else for TNA or for any other wrestling promotion, and this all just kind of felt weird to do, but it did happen. I can't believe they didn't put this on pay-per-view. That was just 3 days after this episode aired, but I'm not the one making the decisions there. But our story with Angelina does not end just yet. In the previous part of the series, I covered a little beef between Cara Maria from The Challenge and wrestler Paige for Saraya. Angelina has had beef with a WWE wrestler as well, as recently as 2022, and it was with Carmella. This is a screenshot I got from Reddit that displays all of their tweets pertaining to this, and it's all a little crazy considering how it even started. Like, I don't know if Angelina can really take complete ownership for the hello thing, but I also get it because that clip or gif, whatever, is super popular because of her and of Jersey Shore. But this is still just some really funny back and forth on Twitter. And I live on the West Coast, so I can't really comment too much on Staten Island, New Jersey, but from an outside perspective, they all seem the same. So it's like, I don't really see the issue here, to be honest. Angelina has also gone on to say that Carmella is obsessed with her and she would have liked to have a match with her. Maybe whenever Carmella comes back to WWE, they can get this sorted out because I'm interested. I would watch that for sure. So, while she obviously didn't do much in the wrestling world, she does seem to love wrestling, and say whatever you want about Angelina, but she's like the perfect type of annoying that works so well in reality TV that could also translate to wrestling. Angelina, maybe we'll see you in a ring again eventually. And now for the final person to talk about, Ronnie. Let me just get this out of the way really quickly. He's a very bad individual. Nobody condones his behavior or anything that he's done. And now with that being said, I think he's absolutely a perfect fit for wrestling. I mean, he's toxic, he's roided out, and he's just a full-blown meathead. It's kind of a perfect fit to be honest. But what did Ronnie do in wrestling? Well, for some context leading up to this, Robbie E was now teaming up with Rob Terry as a couple months prior to this in August, Cookie, or Becky Bayless, left TNA. And Robbie E and Eric Issue had some issues over EY's television title. When the Robs confronted EY warned them that he could bring in Ronnie from Jersey Shore if Rob Terry got involved in their one-on-one match for the title. And so predictably, the Robs attacked EY after this match, and then EY announced that next week he'd be bringing in Ronnie from the Jersey Shore. Off the bat, before I even see anything he does on the show, it's crazy to me that Ronnie is going to be a babyface, or better known as a good guy or protagonist in the story. Like, who looks at Ronnie and sees anything he's ever done either on the show or in real life and be like, yeah, he's going to be a guy that the crowd should root for. But, okay then. Then, on the following week's episode, Ronnie came out with EY and for some reason was wearing a replica of EY's title, and Ronnie actually got a pretty decent response from the crowd. Whether this was because they actually liked Ronnie somehow, or just because they were happy to see someone potentially beat up Robbie E, who knows, but it did happen. And yeah, they all have a confrontation that leads to Ronnie getting literally whipped with a belt by Robbie E, before EY makes a challenge for the four of them to have a tag team match next week. So we've reached the November 10th, 2011 episode of TNA. This is when we finally get the tag team blow-off match of this feud, I guess. By the way, I just have to say this, both Angelina and Ronnie cracked me up just wearing like regular clothes in the wrestling ring instead of any legit wrestling gear. It's really weird, but I'm not going to harp on it for too long, it's just something I noticed about both of them. Maybe TNA didn't feel like spending any of their already low enough budget on a one-night outfit, but who knows. Now this match, like the Angelina match, was pretty short, but it was about 4 minutes long. Ronnie only did a couple moves, but honestly, he didn't look that bad. And in the end, Ronnie is the one that actually got the last move in and the pin on Robbie E to win the match, which is just insane to me that he actually ended up getting this win on TV, especially considering the fact that Robbie E then beat EY 3 days later to win the title. Who knows if they would have eventually built to a title match between Robbie E and Ronnie, but Ronnie never made any appearances for TNA after this. In an interview with the New York Post, he praised his short time in TNA and gave a lot of love to wrestling, but said it wasn't something he was looking to pursue and wanted to keep doing Jersey Shore and eventually acting. Well, it's nice to see that goal worked out. But yeah, Ronnie basically got to get a pretty decent check, I imagine, and a free win on TV basically, which is pretty crazy in itself. And there we have it, the crossover between reality TV and wrestling, Part 3, Jersey Shore edition. I had a lot of fun making this video, from going back and forth and watching these TNA episodes to just creating this video itself. I've really missed making these kinds of videos, and I really want to keep making more videos like this that are about reality TV with a little mix of wrestling in there too. That was the original goal of this channel, and I'm just getting back on track with what I personally am finding the most fun when it comes to videos I enjoy making. So I appreciate all of you who have stayed through this whole video. That means the world to me. More content will be coming soon. Don't worry about that. I know it's been a while, but you know how college can be. Once again, thank you all very much. Comment down below what you found most interesting, who your favorite Jersey Shore cast member is, what you'd like to see me make a video on, and everything else in between. Like the video, subscribe for more videos, and yeah, thank you for watching.